Hey, hello. All right, welcome to day two of the Truth Files. Um, I debated doing this at all today. Wasn't sure if I was going to do this because I'm pretty tuckered out at this point. I'm going to lose the reading glasses too. Ah, there, that's better. Helpful when I'm looking at the screen, but not so helpful when I'm recording. So, day two of the Truth Files. Yeah, wasn't sure if I was going to record. Feeling pretty tired. And so I don't feel like my brain is super sharp. So I'm not even 100% sure what I'm going to talk about. Maybe today will just be a little bit of an update because it's just about 6 o'clock my time, which means the sun is almost setting here. Um, I know it looks dark in here, but that's because I've got room darkening shades everywhere. Because if I don't, it turns into a sauna in this room. So room darkening shades, air conditioning, fan, the whole deal. So, on that note, there was some rain last night, which was very exciting. The roofs are interesting because they're like a tin roof, and then there's, I guess it would be Spanish tile over top of it. And so when the rain hits that, it's a very soothing kind of sound. So there was rain last night. There were no howler monkeys close by. So it was a much more peaceful sleep. And yesterday, I also, I think I mentioned in my video, because I was sweaty, I'm also post gym today. But yesterday, I found myself a gym and worked out. And so I went there today again. But that meant last night I had a fantastic sleep, probably the best sleep since I've been here. And I sure find that regular exertion for me and not just like walking or hiking, but lifting weights is so key to how well I sleep. When I started, like I was going to the gym 3 or 4 times a week before, not very structured, but I was lifting weights. Um, I was still having like temperature surges at night and lots of wakefulness at night. So if I happened to wake up at night, I was pretty much guaranteed to be awake for a couple of hours. So that's just challenging, not getting really good, deep, consistent sleep. And so starting in January, when, if any of you have been following along on my social media, I started working with a trainer for fitness and nutrition. And it was just really like a lot of about accountability. It's nothing that I didn't know, but it was really, getting real about how on point I was with my habits and my patterns. And also because I had been through adrenal fatigue, I've been gun shy about getting on too regimented a schedule and pushing myself because that whole fitness and nutrition world, particularly, can really go down a dark rabbit hole of like over masculine structure and not paying attention holistically to what's actually going on and just doing the thing for the sake of doing the thing. And so, or doing the thing for the sake of getting a discipline star or whatever it might be. So, anyways, I had been a little leery about going down that road again. But there were some things that I wasn't feeling fantastic about in my body, despite having a really great lifestyle, or what I perceived was a great lifestyle. So I started in with a coach and spent 5 months with her. So a 2 month challenge and then a 3 month block of individual coaching and support accountability. I will say that, I mean, I won't say so much that coaching was all that helpful. Um, I don't want to, you know, definitely don't want to criticize or critique somebody, but it really was more about reestablishing good habits and patterns and having the regular accountability to really stay on top of that. So to just get very honest with myself about what I was and was not doing. And it was really surprising and eye-opening for me. I mean, even just getting consistent daily activity like the 10,000 steps, I was gobsmacked by how sedentary my life had become as we weren't running around after kids, after closing like my outside facility and working from home, and then downsizing an apartment. Like, and even going out for walks every day, there was quite often I wasn't hitting 10,000 steps in a day. And I know that's not like a magical number, but it's just a good target to make sure that you're up and moving your body in general. So there was that. There was just making sure I was drinking a lot more water, being more consistent about how I'm fueling myself, when I'm fueling myself, like really good, like blood sugar stability types of practices, which is always a good thing. And so really just starting to feel way better and much more consistent weightlifting and back to the very traditional stuff that I would have started out with, 20 years ago that I thought I was way too far above. So it would have been felt way more therapeutic or like rehabilitative to me, but turns out I kind of needed that because I had a lot of imbalances from hard charging with all of the other types of things that I had been doing for so long. So all of that to say, getting really consistent with my fitness and nutrition over the last 6 months has been hugely beneficial to my energy, my sleep, my mental health, quite frankly. And then definitely like really positive changes in body composition. So I'm feeling a lot more comfortable in my body and in my skin. So that's all been really, really good. And also, I did it because I could tell that there was more coming through me in terms of my life's work and my service. And, these vessels, this physical technology is the structure or the conduit for cosmic technology and cosmic flow, divine flow to come through. And so if your vessel isn't prepared, then signal is staticky and you're just not as capable of doing the highest level of work in the world when your vessel is not sharp or attuned. So that was all part of it. So all of that to say, feeling much better, working out regularly is just huge for me in all ways. And there are also things in my design, and it's in my sphere of radiance. And so this is in your gene keys. This would be your unconscious sun in your human design. But that sphere of radiance is kind of like the prescription pad for what you need to stay healthy. And of course, all humans need physical activity, so on and so forth. But my sphere of radiance definitely has that physical activity, physical exertion is critically important for me to just really feel good and healthy. So it's always been really beneficial for me to do that. And I've been an athlete my whole life. And so when I had adrenal fatigue and I wasn't able to move or to work out or to lift, that was a really challenging period of time for me. So it's feeling really good to be feeling strong again, strong and fit again. So that's been good. So I got myself to the gym today. And yeah, so that's what this look is. I haven't gotten out or changed or anything. But this morning, what I ended up doing, whoa, zoom out. Hello. Zoom, zoom. New computer and it's got an autofocus. What I did this morning that I'm feeling very proud of myself about is that I got all my cellular stuff figured out. So this was a whole learning curve for me. And part of this is that I don't feel like I'm a very naturally techie kind of person. It's not that I'm like, oh, I don't get it. But it takes me sort of extra thinking to walk myself through some tech things. Like it's not, nobody's going to come to me if there's a tech thing and be like, oh, Charlene will know. I can make my way through, but it's definitely not my area of expertise. So Jason, my husband, has always been the tech dude. And so also anything technological, he's always handled. So I just really haven't had to have my hands in it. So fast forward to yesterday, so when I landed in Costa Rica, my cellular carrier popped up with a notification about, roaming rates and da 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 da. So I was like, okay, I know that I was just going to use Wi-Fi until I got myself figured out, and then I'd figure out about getting a SIM card and whatever, which I also didn't fully understand what the heck that was or why I needed that. So, anyways, fast forward to yesterday, and I've been turning my cellular off anytime I was away from Wi-Fi. And so I thought I'd be fine. And then I got a notification that I was nearing like my upper limit of where they cut off roaming charges so that you don't get like this crazy roaming bill out of the blue. And I was like, what the heck? Why am I still getting roaming charges? So I'm like, okay, I've got to get this whole data thing figured out. So I was able to hop on chat with my cellular carrier, which is still the same one from Saskatchewan. So we didn't change carriers when we moved, and now you don't really need to do that. So long story, anyways, it's a Canadian carrier in Saskatchewan. It's SaskTel. And it took an hour and 15 minutes of chatting back and forth and trying to help me figure out what the best move is. And prior to that, probably another 30 minutes or an hour of researching about regular SIM cards versus eSIM cards and what companies are the best to do, and all of these different configurations and how much data do I need and what are my uses and where am I going to be and blah, 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 all of these kinds of things. And so after all of that was my big project for the morning, and the lovely patient saint of a human that was on customer service with me to help me understand all of this and all of my options. I finally got everything sorted out. And at the end of the day, my international data, call, text, the whole deal is only going to cost me $5 more a month than my business plan costs me stateside, so to speak, or in country. So that was cool. And then I just get to stay with my carrier. It's as simple as a click of a button to like re-up my travel package every 30 days when I need it. So that felt like a big win. Like I was really impressed with myself. I'm like, yes, okay. Another good one. So that felt good to just kind of get myself fully travel ready and then not paranoid about roaming charges and that kind of thing. Because what I learned was even if you turn cellular off, some apps in the background, and he said like find my iPhone and a couple other things I can't remember, said they're always like pinging. And so it's those actions of the background of these apps that will actually be attempting connection. So that can be even if you're on Wi-Fi, like if you've turned cellular, what I'm trying to say is even if you think you've done the right thing, those apps will be still pinging and you can potentially still get roaming charges from that. So just FYI. So I don't know what the situation is if you're American, because that tends to be the other big population that I tend to interact with. But in Canada, let me just say it would be well worth your time to contact your cellular provider. And if it's anything like mine, to reduce your package, your stateside package down to as small as possible, and then add a travel pack that you can re-up whenever you need. So that's what I figured out today. So that felt really good. And then I took myself off to the gym, and then I needed to do some cooking. So I had, like I said yesterday, I'd gotten myself some groceries. So I needed to do some food prep. So I cooked up my chicken and my rice and my green beans and cut up some other vegetables. So now I've got other types of food available because I've basically been living on my oatmeal and protein powder concoction, my pre-workout, my post-workout eggs and cut up roasted potatoes. And because I can't seem to find spinach to put into anything. So there's that. And there's no such thing as egg whites here. So you know how you can buy like the liter of mechanically separated egg whites? No such thing as that here. So I'm into the full fat eggs, and which I know is not a bad thing. And what else have I? Oh, my evening snack of like Greek yogurt, protein powder, peanut butter, so on. So anyways, I've been existing on that for about 3 days. So now I've got chicken and greens and rice and an avocado that's like the size of my head. And I crushed a mango today, a giant mango. That was also the size of my head, size of my head, which I bought on the side of the road yesterday. So I wish I probably got pictures, but I bought a mango and lychee. Are they called lychee berries? Anyways, they're very cool. And then one other fruit that I can't remember the name of. It was about this big, but the flesh around the pit was very much almost like a banana. So it's very, very sweet, very candy-like. So anyways, buying roadside fruit, which is fun. Um, and then here I am. So feel like, whew, full day, just kind of getting myself settled, sorted out, oriented, figured out. And again, it's hot. It's hot out. As soon as you're outside, you're just sticky. I'm like feeling myself because I'm very sticky. Um, yeah, but feeling really good, like reestablishing routine for me. Like I like white space in my calendar. Like I love white space. I love freedom. but saying that, and I'm consistent variable in human design, which means, and so there's two elements in my design, which really speaks to consistency for me. But I am consistent variable in my human design. So having like just things that I'm doing consistently just really works for me, and I can absolutely attest to that. So it really helps me feel grounded and settled to have some consistency in my routine. This doesn't work for everybody. Like some people are variable. And so having doing the same things every day does not work for them. It drains their energy. So for me, when I have consistency, because I have such a busy mind, like it eliminates decision fatigue. And so it lets me kind of rest into structure. And I feel really good with that. And the other part of my design that speaks to that is in my gene keys in my sphere of SQ. So that's our like our really deep core. That's what that's our spiritual center that gets formed before we're really conscious, right? It's the age of 0 to 7. And so I'm a line one there, which is rhythm and routine. So depending on the line that we have there, if we receive that when we're in that phase, then it's that silly Zoom. There it goes again. If we receive that when we're in that phase, our line note, then there, that's better. Then we're in harmony with it. But if we don't receive it, that's when we have like we develop the shadow side of that. So, anyways, for me, I had a really beautiful, consistent, stable home life and upbringing, a lot of rhythm and routine and consistency. So that's definitely in harmony for me, but it just really speaks to I feel really good when I've got rhythm and routine and consistency in my life, which is often at odds with my three line of being, a great life experimenter. So I love adventuring. I love trying new things. But if it's going to be long term, I really need something. I need anchor points in my routine and whatnot. So that's what this has been about, is establishing that. And like, even though the foods are different, like it doesn't taste exactly the same as all of the same brands and everything that I like at home. And I discovered there's no lactose-free dairy here. So I'm gonna have to start taking lactate pills again with my evening Greek yogurt. But so even though it's not all of the exact same things, it's like familiar foods, familiar rhythms, and that kind of thing. So just feeling a lot more grounded, which feels really good. I can tell that I desire to. I'm going to desire to spend more time getting better at Spanish. The people have been really lovely. Even the people who don't have a lot of English are really lovely about attempting English and like being apologetic that they don't know more English. And I'm like, no, I'm in your country and I don't know the language. So, this is definitely on me, but I can tell that I didn't really have the bandwidth for that or to prepare in that way beforehand. And the similarities with French and being Canadian, I have a lot more French. So there's similarities where I'm not completely out to lunch. Like I can get the gist of a lot of things, particularly if I'm reading things. It's not that bad. Um, but it would just make things a lot easier, a lot smoother, not just for me, but for the people I'm interacting with, right? Because that would be a little stressful for them to have this English speaking person in your country with zero ability to communicate with you. So I don't want to just assume that people are going to adapt around me. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun to learn Spanish too, particularly if I'm heading off to Peru next. It's not going to be a shortage of needing to speak Spanish functionally. So I can tell I want to start doing more of that. Um, but yeah, I think that's really all I've got for now today. I know that I'll definitely delve into probably some deeper topics and a little bit more around initiation, but this has really been so far about breaking patterns and about showing up very authentically, like no polish, right? Like hair's not done, makeup's not done. Very real. And one of the things like this has occurred to me a few times to say, so I might as well say it. Um, One of the things that really appeals to me is like just a lot of authenticity. And so how this came up when I was marinating on this is that one of the television series that I really enjoyed recently was The Bear. And I noticed online there was a lot of mixed reviews about this most recent season, but I thought it was just outstanding. I thought the acting was phenomenal. And what I noticed about and why I liked it is because it is so gritty and unpolished and real. Like you can viscerally feel the discomfort in so many of the interactions. And like that's why I say the acting is so phenomenal because these people do not feel like they're acting. And I was reflecting on that and contemplating on that. And I'm like, so why does that appeal to me so much? And I think it is the realness. It's the realness, it's the rawness. And I think so much of what is online, well, and I'm preaching to the choir probably, right? But like we all know it's so fake. It's so fake and performative and like and even just in in my own journey of working with people and seeing behind the scenes with them that the reality is often very different than what they're actually presenting. And so, I mean, that just always didn't sit right with my integrity bells. So I don't love that mismatch. I mean, don't get me wrong, I do love a good photo. I love, when I'm all done up and the lighting is right and I look real cute. Like, who doesn't like that, right? And there is definitely something to be said for branding and polish and all of those kinds of things. So I mean, there's a role for it. And I think also if your intention is to really scale to a particular level, like again, it just really depends on your intentions and what you desire and all of those kinds of things. So right now for me at this stage of my life, the messy middle, the authenticity, the truth, the being seen in process, the realness, the rawness of life, that feels more important to me than me talking to you from the end state and saying, look how well everything all turned out, right? With the glossing over, the breakdown that I had because on the first night I walked into a grocery store and there was like nothing ready made, right? So how do I feed myself? Like I'm in a hotel, like what am I going to do? Like get a yam? You know, it's just so, all of just that kind of stuff and the heat and the dust and the crazy drivers like there's really no such thing as traffic laws here. They're just general suggestions, and people kind of try to watch out for each other. But even then, um, it's hit and miss. I don't want to say it that way, knock on wood. But it's to me, it feels chaotic, right? So there's an adjustment to that, and like adapting to the rhythms of a totally new place. And I think that was something I started to say before, but that's the intention behind all of this is to spend this year, and my intention is a year, spend this year on this initiatic path. That's the thing. I'll talk about that in the next one. But I was so proud of myself today. But I'll talk about what an initiatic path is and where that even came from. I feel nervous to talk about that because there's a level of woo to this that probably not everybody in my life is really aware of yet. It's a little bit of a coming out of the woo closet. But I think it'll be important to talk about, but talking about a year-long initiatic path and just what that really looks like and what it really takes rather than writing about it or talking about it from the end and all of the clean and tidy lessons that I'm sure I'll still get from it. But in the meantime, this is what it looks like. So today is Friday. I left on Saturday. So I'm getting real close to having been on the road elsewhere on the globe for a week. And that's even wild to think about that too. So anyways, I think that's it for tonight. Thanks for tuning in. I'm off to use the hot water for today, the 4:30 to 8:30 hot water. The shower is going to feel so good. And I hope you, at whatever time you're watching this or whatever point in the future that you're watching this, is also having a wonderful day. Ah, this Zoom focus. Come on, buddy. Stay with me. There we go. Okay, for real, that's it. Ta-ta, take care, and I'll see you next time.